Welcome to the INFOWARS Nightly News. I'm your host, Jakari Jackson. It's August 25th, 2014, and let's get straight into our news tonight. Our top story, maybe you guys have seen this video making its way around the internet. It's about James Foley getting beheaded by an ISIS militant. Now, thus far, I still have not been able to come across a full version of this video. And what I mean by full version is every time I see the video, whether it's on YouTube, Live Link, wherever, you see the guy put the knife to Foley's neck, and then it cuts. And it fades to black, and you come back with the image of the head on Foley's body. So with that in mind, we'll go to this article by Paul Joseph Watson. Confirming INFOWARS analysis on Thursday, British forensic experts have concluded that the ISIS beheading video involving James Foley was in all likelihood staged, using camera trickery and slick post-production techniques. The international forensic science company, which does work for the police forces across Britain, found that the James Foley execution may have been staged, with the actual murder taking place off-camera, reports The Telegraph. The experts noted that despite Foley's executioner appearing to draw the knife across his neck area at least 6 times, no blood is seen. The video itself does not show the actual beheading, which is very suspicious to me. I mean, you know, I don't want to say it's real. I don't want to say it's fake. I just like to hold my analysis of the actual video until I see the actual video, which I have not been able to come across as of yet. But that's not stopping people from, jumping on the bandwagon whole hog and saying, let's go to war with Syria. Let's go to war with all these other areas where ISIS claims to be active. Stage Foley beheading used as poster child for Syria attack. Senior Republicans yesterday cited the video and urging President Barack Obama to expand airstrikes targeting ISIS militants from Iraq to Syria. We need to expand airstrikes so you can ultimately defeat and eliminate ISIS, Texas Congressman Mike McCall told ABC. Don't kid yourself for a second that they aren't intent on hitting our homeland. I think the threat is very real. Senator Lindsey Graham, a longtime proponent of an attack on Syria, said that Obama should not consult with President Bashar al-Assad before launching the assault, which to me is a pretty big deal. If you're going to launch an assault, whether it's boots on the ground, whether that's an airstrike, you might want to consult with the president of that nation first. Just imagine if something happened here, and China, for whatever reason, wants to go to war with a particular entity inside the United States, not of the United States, but inside the United States, and they decide, let's just go bomb the U.S. People would have a problem with that. It's the same thing over in Syria. I don't think you can just come and bully Assad around. And that's not to say I'm an Assad sympathizer. I'm not cheerleading for the guy one bit. I'm saying that you need to have a proper channel of communication before you go bombing somebody's nation, especially when just a year ago you tried to say that he was responsible for chemical attacks, even though there's video evidence of these Syrian rebels funded and trained by the United States of America carrying out at least one of those chemical assaults. But I guess that all doesn't matter when you just want to go beat the war drums. And let's talk about the transition from the threat of ISIS to the threat here at home, more domestically, the threat of militarized police. Totalitarian state more dangerous in America than ISIS. And the article points out many good things on Infowars.com. Cops more deadly than terrorists. The Ferguson incident has exposed the underbelly of the United States, and now everyone is starting to pay attention that there is a higher risk of being killed by police, even when they chase or shoot at people that need not be you. The risk is 800% greater that you will be killed by police rather than a terrorist, writes Mark Armstrong. But that's not the half of it. Since 9/11, the police have killed more people than the terrorists are claimed to have done in those attacks. It's getting to the point that if you see a policeman in the USA, you better try to move away. Micah Zinko, writing for The Atlantic, put it a different way. The average American is more likely to be killed by his or her own furniture than by a terrorist. Yes, you're more likely to be killed by a honeybee sting. You're more likely to be bitten by a poisonous snake. More likely, and as this example says, to be killed by your own furniture. That's not to say that terror threats aren't real, but it's saying that we shouldn't just, discount one thing and focus on another. Just like we're talking about the militarized police. You don't want to say, let's worry about ISIS, which is a real threat because we have the open borders. We have all types of people coming over, and they always want to talk about, oh, think about the children coming over, even though the DREAM Act allows you to be a 30-year-old man, a 31-year-old man, and say that you're a child. No, that's not a child at all. But when you have those guys coming over, you also have the open border policy that allows violent militants to come into our country as well. So yeah, the ISIS guys could very well be here active in the United States. Last week in Ferguson, Missouri, somebody was walking behind Jake Tapper of CNN with a T-shirt that said ISIS is here. So you can have these threats here in the United States, and they need to be addressed. But let's not forget about the other things going on in our country. And that's why now even the White House is chiming in, I think, just to, throw their hat in the ring, but they come out and they say they're reconsidering military-grade weapons for local law enforcement. And, I think this is the White House just posturing, trying to say, hey, we're trying to do something about this. We don't want to look bad in the face of what happened in Ferguson, Missouri. But the fact about this is even mainstream news is now reporting about how the Pentagon is supplying these small-town law enforcement agencies with MRAPs, with heavy armor, with fully automatic weapons. And I do understand, law enforcement does face threats from time to time, heavy threats, like we saw in 1997, the North Hollywood shootout, which if you guys haven't seen that, I do encourage you to go to YouTube and watch that. Two guys rob a Bank of America. They have heavy armor, fully automatic rifles. They walk outside and engage in about a 40-minute shootout with the police. Two guys keeping, pretty much an entire police department at bay because the police department at that time only had shotguns, pistols, and, light body armor. So, the pistols didn't have the range, the shotguns, after, they spread out, didn't have the knockdown power to put these guys on the ground. So they were pretty much at the mercy of these two guys until, the end of the 40 minutes or so. So I understand that, yes, they do face real threats. But my issue about this is you shouldn't have these type of armaments, the heavy body armor, the riot shields, the CS gas, which you can't even use against a foreign enemy. You shouldn't have those in every type of situation. You shouldn't be shooting CS gas against peaceful protesters. You shouldn't be firing rubber bullets and wooden bullets indiscriminately at peaceful protesters. Because I told the police chief to his face, I said, hey, man, I was out here just like your officers were. It was a blinding cloud of tear gas and smoke gas for a mile down West Florissant Street in Ferguson, Missouri. Your officers could not see what they were shooting at. All they could see was a form in the cloud. They don't know if that was a tall 13-year-old or a 30-year-old man. And it shouldn't matter because either one of those guys would have the right to be on a public street in the United States of America. Because in Ferguson, Missouri, they were shooting at people standing inside their own front yards. When I was out there with Al Jazeera, they weren't just shooting at Al Jazeera, there were people in their front yards. The officer's like, go home, disperse. And he's like, I am home. I'm on my front porch. I can't stand on my front porch just because you guys want to play live action Call of Duty. So I think it's just posturing by these people. And now we have some more posturing, this time from the Godfather, as Drudge likes to call him, Rahm Emanuel. Chicago, not the murder capital. Now, Mr. Emanuel has come under intense scrutiny because of the way situations are playing out in the city of Chicago. A lot of high gun violence there, even though Chicago has some of the strictest gun laws in the nation. It doesn't really add up when you think about it. The mayor is pointing to numbers that show that violent crime, in particular homicides, are down in 2014. Police department statistics show that homicides from the beginning of 2014 through the end of July are down 7% from that time period in 2013 and 20% from that period in 2010, which is true. Despite the things that happened over the 4th of July weekend, over 80 people shot in the city of Chicago, they do have decreased violent crime. But I don't think it's because of slick rhetoric from the mayor or because he's out there pressing the flesh. I think it may have something directly to do with this. Chicago crime rate drops as concealed carry applications surge. Since Illinois started granting concealed carry permits earlier this year, the number of robberies that have led to arrests in Chicago has declined 20% from last year, according to police department statistics. Reports of burglary and motor vehicle theft are down 20% and 26%, respectively. In the first quarter, the city's homicide rate is at a 56-year low. And that's thanks to people arming themselves as responsible citizens, because now the thugs, the vandals, they know even if they knock down that old man, that old lady, they may have that snub nose strapped to their ankle, and they don't want anything to do with that. And something that, you may want to take a look at is open carry, not just open carry, concealed carry. I'm for people, defending themselves, whether it's a pistol on the hip or, whatever else. And now we have this. Huey P. Newton Gun Club pushes hashtag Black Open Carry to protest police violence. In Texas, blacks are protesting police violence in a particularly southwestern way by invoking their right to open carry. On Wednesday, more than 30 members of the newly formed Huey P. Newton Gun Club gathered to march through South Dallas with rifles, shotguns, and AR-15s. And yes, I know an AR-15 is a rifle. The group eventually entered a restaurant with their weapons while Dallas police officers were inside eating lunch. So, I think it's great to exercise your Second Amendment rights, your First Amendment rights, regardless of what color you are, because oftentimes you see open carry groups on TV and they always point out the white Southern male, but you have people of all colors, of all races who show up to these events. So, I definitely respect people exercising their rights, regardless what right it is and regardless what color they are. Well, that's it for this segment of the INFOWARS Nightly News, but stay tuned. The show isn't over yet. Leanne McAdoo has boots on the ground in the Napa Valley, giving you an up-close look at the earthquake damage in that area. And also, Joe Biggs has a special report detailing how Ferguson residents, they say they want to speak for themselves. They don't want these outside mouthpieces coming into the community and speaking for them.
This your country, this your land. We kings and queens.
Excuse me, sir. So what are you talking about?
I'm talking about true historical facts. I've been to 7 countries. I've been around the world. I'm not a black man that just grew up in St. Louis and never left St. Louis. I know the truth. Now, I lived in Germany from the age of 7 years old to the age of 14. I haven't seen racism until I moved to America. They treat me like a king in Germany. Now,
What do you think about him being here, Jesse Jackson?
I think he works for the government, and I think he has no good intentions for the black community. That's my opinion. From facts, he's been doing this for how many years? Ain't nothing get better. We just had a little child got shot in the street with a black president in office and with a black attorney general. We got our kids getting shot in the street. 50% of black men are behind bars. The other 50% are unemployed. We're 12% in this country, yet we own less than half of 1% of businesses. Now, 25 businesses got looted and burned down. Now, one was black owned. We need to own our own businesses and our own community so we can hire our own people.
What do you think that needs to be done to fix the problem?
The problem, we did 400 years of slavery. We built this country. How come a foreigner could come over here and get a hotel, a motel, a gas station at my community, and the average black man can't even find a job?
What do you think about the fact that they released the footage of the so-called robbery by Michael Brown today? 6 days later.
I think it took 6 days for them to show the video. If it was true, they would have showed it a long time ago. Why do you wait 6 days?
Do you think it is actually him or no?
I think it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It really don't matter. Even if it was him, that don't justify you getting shot 10 times and you got your hands in the air. I don't care if he robbed the store with a gun. You don't get shot 10 times with your hands in the air for stealing cigars.
What do you think about the actions on Wednesday night by the riot police here? Were you here for that?
Yeah, I was here all week.
Yeah, I was here. I was out here too.
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
I think it shows the world that they don't have no value for our rights, our human life as human beings. You know, for them to come out and riot, get look like Iraq out here. All we doing is exercising our constitutional rights to protest, which we don't. They're taking away our constitutional rights. It's tyranny in this country. We don't have any constitutional rights. We will lose them one by one, and it's tyranny going on.
And what people understand is they think it's only the people here that are reacting the way they did when the gun was pointed at them. But you go to any country in the world and have a sniper rifle pointed at you, I mean, that's not going to feel good. I don't like that.
No, exactly. All we're doing is exercising our constitutional rights as American citizens in this country, and just to exercise our constitutional rights for one of our children that got shot in the street like a dog, laid in the street for hours. We go exercise the constitutional right to protest. We get guns pointed at us. We get tear gas shot at us. Same thing like in the 60s. Ain't nothing changed. This has been going on for 500 years. 500 years of the same treatment. No breaks. No breaks, and people can't wake up because they brainwashed the television, social media, government controls all that. People have no knowledge of self. They don't know any of the history before slavery. They don't know we were the first people on earth. They don't know we were kings and queens, that we had a peaceful world. And it's known around the world. And everybody got along because I studied their history, they studied my history. We can have respect for each other. We study everybody's history, but none of our history is taught in this country. If I could go to another country, then they give me much more respect than they give me in America because they know my history. They know we kings and queens, that we rule the earth. That is not no religion, that is a historical fact, and that's who we are. That's who we are, so we need to never forget that.
All right, thank you.
All right, brother. All right, man. All right.
Well, there you have it. JoeBiggsInFoWars.com. One of the protesters, very passionate about what he's out here for.
And welcome back. The INFOWARS crew has boots on the ground in the Napa Valley. Leanne McAdoo joins us now via Skype, documenting the full destruction left by the recent earthquake. Thank you for joining us, Leanne.
Thanks, Jakari. I'm Leanne McAdoo reporting for INFOWARS.com here in downtown Napa. The devastation to a lot of these buildings has been pretty significant. A lot of the buildings here are over 100 years old, and a lot of these